Look at that, electric steps and everything. Well, the 392s are really starting to become a thing. I didn't think that many people were going to buy them, and here we are. I don't even know what number of 392 this is, but another 1-ton swap. This is Cliff's 392. This happens to be the final edition. Says it right there, 392 final edition. It's a 2024. I think this is the second or third 24 that we've done. Everything went smooth. It's looking good. So to start with, Cliff got an RV, wants to travel the country, bought the 392, and plans on flat towing this thing all around the country, playing in Moab, Colorado, you know, all over the place. So we had to build a vehicle that would fit his driver needs, that would be able to tow behind the RV, and still hit Rubicon, Fordyce, or Moab, Sand Hollow, some of the big trails. And this is what we ended up with. So like I said, 2024 392, you're towing it around the country in your RV. You might see family members, your grandmother, whatever. Of course, we had to put the Rockslide Engineering electric steps on it. These also have the external skid as well, so totally ready to bash rocks, hit heavy four-wheel drive trails, and get in and out with a cup of coffee. Some of the things that are different on the 24 will start inside, really easy. Let me go around to the other side. So, of course, the 2024 has the giant panel, and then it has electric seats. So you look over there on the side of the seat, you have electric adjustments for forward and back movement, which is kind of cool. On this one, because it's the final edition, the shifter is a little different too. So Rubicon 392 final edition. You know, a bunch of little subtle changes. This has a carbon stitch covered dash instead of the red dash, or instead of the black fiberglass. The handle's a little different. The vents are underneath the screen instead of on each side to fit the big screen. The gauges are a little different. So the 24 is in the final edition. Subtle changes, but pretty cool. As far as the rest of the Jeep, because it was a final edition, it did come, I'll close that front door. It did come with the winch in the front bumper already. So stock bumpers on it right now because his new bumpers haven't come in, but pretty cool that it comes with the winch in the front bumper, ready to go. So as far as the lift kit goes on this thing, of course, Cliff wanted the best, so we did our WFO long arm. So you look underneath here, you can see the front control arms going up to the front, and then right away you see these nice aluminum skid plates. So we went with the Artec skid plates on this one, figure with the white theme, with our dark Speedway links and everything going on. The aluminum looked killer, bare. It's not gonna rust. You gouge it, it's gonna stay silver. As you can see, our rear control arm mounts for the long arm. And while you're down here, you see some of the subtle details. Like right here, rigid rock lights. So this thing has the 6-pack of rigid rock lights. So there's one right here in front of the rear link. There's one right there behind the front wheel well. And then you have one in the middle of the front bumper pointing down, and one in the back above the axle pointing down. So that leads us to the axles. You come around here to the back, you get a good look at what's going on back here. So that is a Dynatrac 60, but this is their XD60. So it's low pinion, so you get all the strength of the J60, and it has the notch out of it for all the clearance. And it's got 513 gears, Eaton E-locker, all thick wall tubing, 1/4-inch brackets. And then while you're back here, what do you see? You got some Fox 2.5 adjustable shocks with high speed and low speed compression dampening. And then to top it off, kind of a subtle black skid plate here, because Cliff kept his factory exhaust with the button to turn the sound on and off. And this is actually a Metal Cloak rear muffler skid to go protect that rear muffler on the 392s. As you move your way up, you have our WFO ice chest rack on the back, basically spare tire delete, which moves the license plate to the center. Camera mount here, still has a third brake light. If you want to, you can mount your Rotopack gas can right underneath here. Still has the stock rear bumper on it. You can see the license plate missing because the rear bumper we ordered them isn't in yet as well. But something that is kind of cool is we went ahead and put the TerraFlex heavy duty hinge on this one. And we found that with this TerraFlex hinge, if you just put spacers behind our ice chest mount, so we did some Delrin spacers, the ice chest mount goes on with the heavy duty TerraFlex hinge. So that came out pretty good. Rounding it out here, the flush mount Oracle taillights, and always remember to take your blind spot monitoring sensors and put them into the taillights when you install them, so that still works. When you work your way around and you look at the height of the Jeep, the tire and wheel package and what's going on, we have 3.5-inch metal cloak coils in the rear, 4.5-inch coils in the front to make it sit level, but it still has the factory fender flares, even with the factory little additional flare that comes in the XR series. Now, something we did really cool on this, and this is because Cliff wants to tow behind his motorhome and not ever have to think about adjusting or tightening beadlock bolts. So these are the new Battleborn Kilo forged rims in triple bronze, and then it has this outer black ring, and this is actually beadlock capable, but it's set up in a non-beadlock way where the tires are mounted regular, and this is just a beauty ring. So when Cliff does want to start hardcore rock crawling this, he can get different rings from Battleborn, change it to a true beadlock, just move the tire to the outside, clamp it on. But for now, 80, 90 miles an hour across the country towing, don't have to worry about bolts coming loose. And the beads inside the rim are also like a nice sharp edge on the inside and outside. So we believe at 8-10 pounds, he's still not gonna blow a bead. So factory fenders, just trimmed a little bit in the back here to fit the 39-inch KM3 tires that are on this. We find that the 39s over the 40s fit in the wheel wells a little bit better if you're gonna run stock fenders. As we move our way up to the front, once again, Fox 2.5-inch smooth body shocks. And right up here, stuck in the front of the fender, is the reservoir with the dual speed compression adjustable clickers on it. As far as the front axle goes, another Dynatrac Dana 60. So it's a Pro Rock Dana 60. As you can see, 392 all-wheel drive. We went with RCVs in this. And one thing I forgot to mention is these axles are the 68.5-inch wide axle package, not the 72.5. So it makes the Jeep very tasteful, not too wide, easy to maneuver, easy to get in and out of places, and really complements the 39-inch tires. Tucked up underneath here, you can see this skid, and then you see the Fox stabilizer in the back. Now, this is where it starts to get really weird. I'm gonna actually pop the hood and show this, and it's not weird, it's just a choice that we made on this one. So we decided, knowing in the future that Cliff is gonna wheel this a little bit more, you can see we have a PSC power steering reservoir there. Well, why would we do this? This comes with electronic steering normally, it's only 39s. We're just kind of getting ready for the future. So the full-on PSC kit, belt-driven, engine-mounted pump that we put on here. We got rid of the electronics with a reservoir, and then we went ahead and did the big bore steering box that is ported for hydraulic assist. So we are not running hydraulic assist, but it's ready in the future to basically add 2 lines, stick the ram on there, and go for it. So engine-driven pump, big bore box. It's still right now just turns with one finger. And some people would say, if you go to all that effort, why not just add the $280 ram, lines, put it on there, and be done with it? Well, for a simple reason. Cliff's gonna tow this behind the RV. As you're towing behind the RV flat towing, you have to put the steering column, or the transfer case in neutral, steering column free, so that the tires will turn and follow you. When you have a hydraulic ram on your axle, that's like having a really, really stiff steering stabilizer, and the front tires don't tend to turn as you're going up Highway 1 or windy roads. So for the time being, while he's flat towing this, no PSC hydraulic assist ram. As it starts to get crazy, the 40s go on, the fenders get opened up, then we do PSC on it later on down the road, and he flat tows it on the trailer. As far as the inside goes too, the axles have E-lockers in them, and we hooked the harnesses with the Z Automotive setup directly into the factory switches, so your factory locker harnesses work in a factory way. The only switch that we utilized in his 4 accessory switches on the dash was switch number 1 to do the rock lights. So overall, kind of a sleeper Jeep. It almost just looks stock. It doesn't look like all this work's been done to it. So it's very subtle. One more thing that we forgot about, he has our ice chest rack, powder coated black. We sell it that way now. And of course, here is our rear cargo basket mounted in the back, powder coated black the same with the rubber inside lining. Just a way to kind of finish off your 392 JL build. So something I didn't mention, and I have before, a couple things you run into when you're putting all these parts together. On the Rockside Engineering steps, you will need to trim right here, which is around the rear link mount, so the step goes on and doesn't hit our long arm link. And then another thing that we can't really see because the skid plates are covering it is, in order to keep the same ratio of the upper control arms to the lower control arms on the front forelink for good geometry, the upper control arms run into the factory 392 cats in their factory position. So we take the factory head pipe, cut and move, do a slight modification when you put our long arm on a 392, and then everything goes right back in. So there is an exhaust mod needed if you're putting the long arm on a 392. We did that on Cliffs, and everything's back as it is, quiet, running smooth, and basically another one just knocked out of the park. Killer Jeep. And we are still running this in all-wheel drive, so the Dynatrac hubs in the lock position at all times, just like it is a factory Jeep, and there is not a single light on the dash, no warnings. This thing, from a driver's standpoint, seems all original, all stock, nothing to surprise you. So hope you like Cliff's Jeep, and I can't wait for him to put 40s on it and go beat it down on the Rubicon.